After taking care of some of the side quests, we proceed with the main plot. Arriving at the Wheel Clan, the person having the spectacles should step into the stone for the door to appear. This being Thorvald. Once he passed through, the door appears. Yes, there it is. The spectacles have to occupy a head slot for it to work. Now, the reputation gain you receive from bringing Thorvald back applies immediately. It's the little boost that will make us barely liked due to being an orc on top of being an outsider. Now, as we boosted our persuasion, our charisma in the last video, we are finally able to talk with these NPCs without resorting to violence. Yes, these thick-headed dwarves require a charisma of at least 16, if I'm not mistaken, to actually talk to them. I decided to go for a full effect with 18 in the past video. Now we get a reputation. I'm showing up here our reputation gains and some of the other stats. Well, it's largely irrelevant. Now, the Dwarven City, the Wheel Clan, it's a maze. It has 3 floors. This is the entrance floor. The next one is the residential area. First of all, we're going to go and collect all of the possible side quests we can get. First of all would be the side quest concerning retrieving an artifact from the lower levels of the mines. As it is a trope within dwarves in fantasy, they always dig too deep and they always find things they shouldn't be finding. Again, you have to slightly convince them to accept you. This is all charisma based. If you don't have it, then you can have a low intelligence, but you can still, as long as it's not below the 5-point threshold, you can still be so-called witty. This quest provides one of the materials to make a helmet of vision. Sorry, not a helmet of vision, and a helmet that enhances perception by 3 points. But it requires a helmet of vision, which is an item from the level 5 mechanical discipline, which is impossible to get in the world unless you take 5 points in the mechanical aptitude, and it's not worth it for just 1 point of perception. Now, the second thing about dwarves is that there's a possible character for recruiting here, but it can only be recruited much later in the game. So right now we're getting some backstory on this character. I will not make any attempt to hide it. You can recruit the king of the dwarves, or at least the former king of the dwarves, but you have to complete at least 3/4 of the game to get him. Now, what else is there to do about dwarves? You cannot play the game as a halfling woman or as a dwarven woman. You can highlight it by talking to an NPC, but it will make you lose some reputation with them just by asking this question. So don't do this. The second quest in this area is a side quest that will span. You cannot complete it right now. You can only get. No, it's impossible to complete right now. You need the materials that can only be found in a few videos from now. This side quest is related to the safe found in the museum in Tarant. You will get a key to open it. And again, it requires mithril, which is sold in the shops here and can also be found in the lower levels of the mines. There are 2 pieces of mithril that can be found there, but I prefer to buy one right here, right off the bat. The shops reset every 48 hours. Just sleep for 2 days, get out of the clan, go back, and the shop will have it. Mithril is used in a variety of schematics. It's also used for a quest later on, an absolutely minimalistic quest. Now the Iron Key, it's particularly interesting schematic because it requires pretty much no knowledge of anything. It's intended so that even magical classes can use and are not restricted from this quest. Now the third and final side quest, it's bugged. It asks you to go find a few lost dwarves in a clan, but sadly, whenever you try completing the objectives of the quest, makes sure that the NPC quest giver goes to bed and never leaves his bed. This was supposed to be fixed in the patch that I'm using, but either I patched it wrong or it's 50-50 chance of working. But still, it's experience, and you get some interesting backstory on the world. Now, the clan wars. You need all of this information to complete, so to speak, these areas' objectives in a diplomatic way. Other than that, this is the character that you can ask about, the Dwarven Woman. Don't ask that. Next thing, this area also hosts the altar for the quest of to complete the Gods of Arcanum questline. 3 guesses as to what god the dwarves worship. This the weapons and the armor shop. It's the smithy. It's the place where you can buy mithril. And with it we can finally make the gun from the Dread Isle. Sadly, it is not as good as it appears to be. It does absolutely ridiculously small normal regular damage. It's mostly flamethrower and a can. It does it's all stacks, but in the end it averages for something that should shoot a lot faster than it does. So in any case, I will be demonstrating it a bit later in this video. And after that particular bit of purchasing done, let's continue to the other interesting area of the living quarters of the dwarven city, which is the garden. It hosts a large variety of plant life. Most of them, all of them can be turned into some sort of item or another. I make sure Jaina stockpiles on healing ingredients, but also important is the olive branch, which is the offering item for the altar of Velorian, the altar that we repaired in the previous video. Here it is. I just let my characters wander for a while in this area, and their AI will kick in to pick up anything that is not nailed to the ground. I think it hosts healing items for health, for stamina, also a passion root, and the fungi. No idea what those are for, but still, just go wild. Nobody will tell you anything about it. Yes, and some items for the... Yes, there it is. Some ginkgo roots for poison cures, poppy flowers, got the rest there, of course. As any case, and for some reason China has money. I don't know where she got it from. And a lantern. I think I gave that to her. Now, anyways, moving on to the next section of the Dwarven City, which will be the Royal... no, not yet time for the Royal Palace. This can be accessed from the living quarters, or can also be accessed... Yes, this place can, which is the entrance to the trek. First of all, this is me getting lost because the city is not... the map is quite huge, but from this southern tip entrance you can enter the Drake, the entrance to the Drake. This is technically the lower level of the mines, which is full of spiders, because if you're going to use, and if you have art assets, you're going to exploit them. But there are spiders of all sizes. So moving on, we reach this collection, this circle of dwarves. They have a mission for us. The mission will be to kill something that is killing off the dwarves. Of course, we first have to beg them to please give us the mission to save their mates. This is starting to grind my gears a little bit, but since we play a lawful good character, there's no other way. This is completely optional. It's a side quest to get more reputation with the dwarves in case we hadn't saved Thorvald. This would be our ticket, and we would have to kill the spider to become accepted. Sorry, I spoiled it, but a cave full of spiders, having a huge spider as a boss is not exactly surprising. Now then, my contempt is mainly for the arachnids. I have no particular love for them as enemies in a game. Now, again, we're going to do it for free because that's the way into greed is the way into a dwarf's heart. Now, skipping ahead, sections of mine shafts filled with trapped chests. Yes, shadow crawlers, spiders that cast magic. This is not the spiders that we're supposed to kill, but they have resistance to magic, which is particularly interesting, but on the other side they have no resistance to physical. So they are dead meat. Also, yes, those are spiders that can summon undead. There are three varieties. There's the shadow crawlers, which can cast necromancy spells. There's also the fire spiders, which can surprisingly cast fire wall and can summon a fire elemental, and finally the higher versions can cast fireball, which would be atrocious for us. The poison spiders, which when they hit they always poison, that is, you do not have a chance in the matter. Killing the summoners eliminates the summoned creatures. Widowers, we have seen these enemies. There we go. And there's not much else in this place. A few locked chests, a few trapped and locked chests. I have proof here, but since our HP is pretty high enough, the strategy would be to face tank every single trap in the game. Now, skipping ahead a lot of them, we have molten arachnids. Again, I use the machine gun. the machine gun. Let's go on like this. But finally we reach the nest of what we're supposed to kill, the dread crystal spiders. Unlike all the other arachnids in the game, these ones are strong to physical attacks. Our machine gun is physical. So first of all, we scatter them with Molotov cocktails. Thank you for proving me wrong, but the critical hits does not constitute the norm. Try to cripple its legs, too many of them. Now, I'm going to use the the Tesla rod, and you just saw how much damage it did. They're not unique monsters, they're just reskinned ones. At least in the Brady, yes, it was the Brady guide, the Prima guide, sorry. The Prima guide, they were not listed as separate entities. Why Gar made such an impact on the spider was because he carries the pyrotechnic axe, which calculates the damage not as being physical, but as being fire. Therefore, it actually dealt, and it was not resistant to it. And after you finish off all of the crystal spiders, the small and the big one, the quest is complete. Now, first of all, I have some graphical issues here, but if you right click or shift or right click, it clears it off. Treasure, a brain builder. Brain builder is an craftable item that allows you to somehow re-roll your stats. This rerolling is fixed. You will trade 1 point in strength, constitution and dexterity for 1 point in intelligence, charisma and perception. There's of course the opposite. You can trade, but it won't be learned until much later. Now I showed off that there it is. I just showed with this spider fights that, well, Bronwyn's gun, it sounds much better on paper than it is on the action. And there it is. We just turned the quest in, and we get a boost to our reputation. Anything when it's something that appears in our journal as a reputation gain, it means that every character that fits a specific role would have a bonus to the modifier, its modifier when we talk to them. This is right now obvious with shopkeep, since our technical score is so high. We have a +5 over the average citizen. Now this is the living quarters for the troops. That area right there is the shrine to the dwarven god. This place is accessible from the entryway, and this is right now we're going to solve the dwarven problem through the diplomatic way. The rest of the 20-minute video would be us talking to dwarves. So to get this solution, we would need at least 12 points of intelligence, and therefore we'll be able to understand the dwarven's point of view. Now, and I'll see you in the next video.
Who dares disturb the exile of Thunderstone? Quiet. This insolence is unforgivable. The violation of my ancient right for solitude in exile is not broken so easily. Your life hangs in the balance, stranger. Speak quickly, lest you taste of the fury of Harrow. My son, Randver, he would dare permit such an affront. I've come here to writhe upon the blade of my sorrow, to live the 1,000 deaths by the ancient right of kings. These laws are passed down through the mountain from the beginning of remembered time. Your life is forfeit to them, as is my own. Do you understand? What? How do you know? Speak quickly. Your life still hangs in the balance. I've no words, no words. My crime, it seems, is even more heinous than I thought. I deserve much worse than this mere isolation. In all the time since the judgment was passed, I have never spoken of it. My shame has held my tongue. It seems that very shame shall now, finally, bring the betrayal to light. A delegation of elves sent from the Silver Lady herself. They came not long after Bates had built his first steam engine. Technology in the hands of the human had spread and advanced at an alarming rate, and the elves were hit first and hardest. Their forests were being cleared with the help of technology. Massive steam-powered clear-cutters. The oldest groves, towering and untouched for thousands of years, were being destroyed without prejudice. I saw much of this with my own eyes. The ancient forest of Morbahan is little more than a graveyard now. There are many reasons. Humans, in comparison with the other races, live such short lives. Because of this, I believe that every human action is motivated through fear. The fear of death. You would think that this was a relative issue, that humans would learn to live with this limitation and accept it. This is not true. And therefore, humans, when confronted with any situation, see it through the veil of their own mortality. Achieve, advance, perform. Humans are constantly driven by the shadow of their own death. This fear, unfortunately, clouds their judgment, deadens their sense of right and wrong. Humans act first, think later, and feel last of all. When Bates was given a look at our technology, he was overcome. As a human, his first thought was, what can I use this for? When it should have been, what is the cost of its use? Technology exploded in their hands because they are not burdened with our longevity. Humans rarely live long enough to see the consequences of their mistakes. The Silver Lady is Mother Queen to the elves. She is very old, much older than I, and very powerful in the ways of magic. The delegation told me that she was extremely hurt and angry about the damage that had been done. According to them, because of her age and power, she was hurt the most by the clearing. Her connection to the forests was strongest of all. No, I'm not sure if any but elven eyes have ever been laid upon her. Over the years, we have corresponded through messengers. Elves and dwarves are very different, and we tend to stay away from one another. But our relationship, as culturally strained as it may be, has always been civil. We don't necessarily understand one another, but we've always respected the differences. In Kintara, the oldest city of the elves, somewhere within the glimmering forest. I've said before that there is a strong connection between living things and magic, and the magic flows the most strongly in the veins of elves. Dwarves are very different. We feel a strong connection to the earth, but in another way. We love those things which are eternal, unchangeable. Earth, stone, metal. In those things are strength, but not life as you know it. They said that if the Black Mountain clan was not punished, there would be war. War. I told them that a punishment was already being decided upon, and that we, as dwarves, would deal with them. They refused. They claimed rights as the afflicted, and therefore as the judges. They agreed that exile was a suitable punishment, but they wanted to be the vessel of that retribution. No. I know that there was a time of violence many years ago among the elves. But from what I know of them, they are a very rational, peace-loving people. They know that ultimately, war benefits no one. I was very surprised when they came and threatened it. Yes, the more we talk about it, I begin to get the same feeling. Yes, the elves would have been angry, but would they really have threatened war? Morbahan was a tragedy, but directly affected none of the elven communities. Perhaps my fear blinded me to such things before. And now this mystery. Where are the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan? I am very old, stranger. You may know nothing of me, but believe me when I tell you that I've seen enough dwarven blood spilled to fill 1,000 lifetimes. Have you any idea what it would mean for there to be a war between the elves and the dwarves? Arcanum itself would not survive the conflict. And I was so very tired of filling tombs with the bodies of my people. But nothing. I chose to spare the dwarves, the world, the price of such a war. What was one clan's honor in comparison with the sheer cataclysm that would result otherwise? You ask what right they had? None. They merely forced a choice, and I chose the path of least resistance, the least pain. That was my betrayal, stranger. But that is the point. I am king of the dwarves. It is my responsibility to lead them, to protect them. But most importantly, it is my responsibility to defend their honor, their dwarven honor. By allowing my own fear or concern, regardless of how justified that fear might be, to overshadow their honor, was an unforgivable transgression. Even as king, the choice is never mine as to whether even one dwarf is stripped of his honor. I should have brought this to the people, or just flatly refused from the beginning. I was a coward, a failure, and this exile is my punishment. Given the choice now, I would have waged war against all of Arcanum to uphold the honor of that foolish little clan. What? What do you know of the nature of dwarven stone? You, an outsider. How could you possibly know of such things? Perhaps, but you are not even a dwarf. These are beliefs and concepts it takes a lifetime to reconcile. How could you possibly begin to understand how I feel? Yes, I know. I've thought long and hard about this. Dwarven stone tells me that any transgression against our honor is unthinkable. But my shape, as king, as their father, told me to protect them. I'd shouldered so much of their pain, I could do it no longer. The nature of the betrayal? I failed my people. Isn't that what is most important here? The betrayal was against their stone. It seems, sadly, that my own stone is flawed. You shame me, stranger. Your words are harsh, but undeniably true. Perhaps you are correct, but it doesn't change what I've done, nor the price I need to pay. It is best if you just leave an old dwarf here to rot. It is your place to right this wrong. How then? How can I do so? By Alberic, you are right. I've been blinded by my own shame and not seen the true betrayal. I've betrayed myself and my people along with me. I shall return, stranger. I shall be king. By the name of Thunderstone, I swear it. Of course, I'll do anything within my power to help you. As I said, they were supposedly sent from the Silver Lady. I know very little of them. But I do have a name. Perhaps that will be enough for you to uncover this mystery. The delegation was sent by someone named Mingorad, and I had many correspondences with this elf. Here is a letter that was sent to me by him. I'm unsure. The entire situation reeks of deception. I would tell you to seek him in Kintara, but I don't even know if the delegation was sent from there or not. Regardless, you may want to begin your search there. The Silver Lady might know of this Mingorad. I don't know, unfortunately. The location of Kintara is a well-guarded secret, but I do know it lies within the Glimmering Forest. The small town of Stillwater lies near the edge of that forest. Perhaps there you might find someone who knows where it is. Here, I'll mark your map with Stillwater's location. Wait, I'm much to blame for this situation. My fear and cowardice have helped in bringing about this tragedy. I feel I must do something to help you. Please, take Harrow, the first axe of my family. Its blade strikes true and deep in the hands of the righteous, especially if those hands are dwarven. Within it is the strength of the Thunderstones. I give it to you. I'm sure you will. Godspeed on your quest, my friend. And if you do find out what happened to the Black Mountain clan, return to me. I would be very interested in finding out what really happened to them. Very interested.